So hi everybody, welcome back to Hart Talks. Well, today I have two guests joining me from Dublin, Ireland, and they are Aaron and Mike. Hi guys.
Hey, how you going?
I'm good. So Aaron and Mike are guys who have a blog, and I found their blog and it's called QueerDaze, and that's queer and daze is D-A-Z-E. First of all, what inspired you to do a blog?
So it came about actually, I suppose, during the pandemic. There wasn't a lot of things open. So we wanted, I suppose, to do something together. So the initial thoughts came about, we wanted to do something together. And then it kind of spurred me, I suppose, for me personally, growing up, like I've always been into, we'll say, older guys, but there's never been anything out there that it was just, we'll say, all hooking up and that was possible. But I mean, I never seen an actual relationship aspect of it or how it would work, or even, we'll say, if it was even possible. Like, to me, it was just this far-fetched fantasy that it was something that wasn't real. Like, it was just an ideology that could happen, but it was kind of more fiction than anything. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of talking about, I suppose, not that it's like, well, it is the everyday kind of stuff that happens between us. And we're trying to be as real as possible. We're trying to say what actually goes on in our life, what happened previously with both of us, and kind of experiences we both had kind of, I suppose, from growing up, coming out, from the stuff that we've partaken in, and the good times, the bad times. I mean, it is very broad in a sense, but we're trying to put across, I suppose, the kind of realness of it, like that it's a real thing. It's not like this fiction.
And what I should have probably said is that Mike and Aaron are married. They're a couple.
Yes, we are.
And I know from reading your blog, guys, that people often are like, what's the relationship here? What's the, Mike, in a minute, I'll get into your backstory about, because Mike's a New Yorker. Well, not originally New York. Is that right, Mike? Is it Chicago?
Chicago, California, New York.
Right. So, but yeah, how, because I think people have this, people judge, don't they? People judge and they have their opinions. And so how has it been, being out there and saying we are a couple? Mike, how's it been for you?
Well, first of all, you have to understand the last year that we've been together, it's really been under lockdown. But as far as my family nobody I know has ever met Aaron. Okay. But I mean, I love him so much. And I've never considered the age a factor with us, except, 4 years ago when we just met. I was, he said 23 and he was coming over and I said, bring your passport. I just want to make sure you're not 21 or something. But honestly, after that, the age has never made a difference. And so many times, I can't believe how much wiser he is than I am. But as far as telling my family and all of my friends, I think they were all thrilled for me that, because the way they hear me talking about Aaron and they could see the smile, even though they don't see me. I mean, they could see the smile and the elation and everything. So basically, everyone is happy. And it's funny, the few times we've been out, one time when Aaron was in New York, we had to get a new phone and he lost his phone. He was buying a new one. And the clerk in the store said, maybe your son would like this one. We laugh. Or in Dublin, we live next door to a hotel. And, I think one time she asked how we were related. She thought Aaron was my son or my nephew. But you know what? It's just fun. Yeah. And then we've had people actually stop us and say, you are who don't even know us. And they've said, you are a great looking couple. I think, it's what people could see it on us that it doesn't bother us. We have no qualms. We feel great together.
Yeah.
And if people could feel the love, I think it just passes them by, kind of. I don't know.
Turning the clock back a couple of years, as I said, Mike was living in New York. Aaron had gone over just to work for the summer. Is that right, Aaron?
Yeah, I was working, just doing a marketing internship over there at the time.
Okay, so and these guys met, and did you meet in a bar? Did you meet in how did you?
We met in my apartment. We met from Grindr. So basically, he came over, and I'll tell you, within 15 minutes, I mean, basically, I mean, I mean, you just look at his eyes and you fall in love. But I mean, within 10 minutes, we were just talking, and he had so many of the characteristics. I looked for somebody. I mean, he was brave, courageous, funny, smart. He was empathetic. I heard him talk about his family and stuff, and it was just about everything that I judge a person. When I first meet a person, I look for, and he had it all. And it was just, I was crazy about him.
I think from reading your blog, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of got the idea that, like a lot of gay people growing up, both of you struggled, with coming to terms with the fact of being gay, and, whether it was other people's, what you were worried about other people thinking, or how you felt about yourself. I think also that there's a period in our lives where we can be quite destructive of ourselves. And Aaron, I remember reading, one of the blogs where you're saying you were out partying, and hitting it hard. What do you think has changed in meeting Mike? What is it? What acceptance have you found in yourself when you're with somebody that you love?
It was kind of a strange one for me. I got to a point in my life, I think, very early on, which wasn't a good place, in the sense that I knew what I liked and I knew what I was attracted to, and it wasn't going to change. I couldn't force it to change. So, I mean, I accepted, kind of before I met Mike, I accepted that I'd only ever hook up with the older guys. It was never going to evolve into a relationship, and I never was going to get married. I mean, but I came to terms with, I accepted that. But it wasn't me going to be happy with my life, in a sense. It went into a way of just destructive path that it was just, and I mean, people could see in the gay community, it was just a stereotypical path of destruction because you can't find that acceptance.
Yeah.
And I never, even when it comes out to my family or friends, I was just like, oh, they'd never understand. And I built it up in my head a lot. I built it up that it just wasn't going to be done. That's it. Move on with myself, just try and focus on other things. But when I met Mike, it's like a lot, when I meet a lot of people, but when I met Mike, it's like I met someone, the age never came into it. It really didn't. Looks wise, he was what I was attracted to. Personality wise, he's more of a child than me. So if people don't kind of get that bit, if they knew how of a messer he was compared to me, people think I'm a messer. It's just it was literally come meet my best friend. And so I was tracked through him both mentally and physically. And it was such a nice thing. But even when I first met him, I thought it was just going to be a hookup. But again, it was kind of at the stage where I really liked him. But first of all, he lived in a different country. So I didn't think it was going to anything was going to materialize out of that. But then, the connection just grew and grew. And it was just a thing where I never felt so comfortable with someone. It was just a different feeling. I used to always have these feelings of anxiety. Everything, my whole life is just I don't know why I was always so anxious, but every single moment of life, I'm just constantly in this anxious state. But with him, it's genuinely just feeling like myself, and being able to do you make a mistake, it's grand in front of him, everything's just normal. And it's just sometimes it's just a relief.
Yeah.
But I think the main thing is when I realized how, especially my family and friends, how they just accepted it. I was really taken back. I was expecting it to be a whole lot worse. I was waiting for oh my God, how could you I was being so dramatic, to be honest. I was being this damsel in distress, oh, they're gonna disown me and all this. Because you hear a story, it happens. But they were so they didn't second guess it. They were straight away all from the get-go, were just so normalized by it. That really helped me. It really
they really seemed thrilled. Excuse me, but they seemed thrilled.
No, they did, and it was a strange feeling.
And Mike, as somebody that's older, going back to shame and how you felt about growing up gay, I'm older than Aaron. I'm kind of in the middle of you two, but I know how difficult it was for me. So how was it accepting you for who you were? Because I remember in one of the blogs you said you knew at a very young age that something was different.
Yeah, it's funny. I think most people who are gay probably do. I don't think we necessarily know what it is, but we feel there's something setting us apart. And by the time, I think I got to college, I didn't have a name for it, but I realized what it was, that I liked men. And, first of all, yes, everything was a lot more closeted then. And the fact that I was gay, it was probably what made me very, very insecure. And it took me, until I was 40 till I came out. And there was a lot of, I'm writing a blog right now, actually, called Then and Now, comparing the times. And, there were a lot of the same thing. There were a lot of drugs involved, not in a bad way, but I mean, back then, the drugs of choice, let's say, were, I don't know if you had them, were Quaaludes, Coke, and they went together, sex, hand in hand. And, I had a great time. I was having, sex with women, and there was always something missing. But it really took me until I was 40 to feel totally comfortable with it, despite the fact that so many, of the older people that I hung around with, or my parents' friends, were gay and accepted it. I think what we all realize is it's not the other people so much who don't accept us, it's ourselves.
Yeah.
And that, and that's the strangest thing. And I wrote about it in college one time. I was caught with my first guy at a party. I was so worried. And all this stuff. And the funny thing was, I didn't realize until much later, all my friends still accepted me. It just wasn't talked about, but they still accepted me, and I didn't realize it. I was the one who had the problem. I think everybody has the same problem, even today, even though it's a lot easier coming out. It's just, being brought up with that shame, or you always want to feel normal, and you're not.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is a common thread, isn't it, for all of us? That fear of being disowned, of not being accepted, of being not loved by those people. So yeah. But it's great. It's great that you've written about that in the blog, because when I was reading it, I was like, yeah, I get that. I remember that. So it's really useful. So you guys met, and then you didn't see each other again for 2.5 years. So, as you said, Aaron, you thought it was a one-night stand. Did the communication carry on throughout those 2.5 years, or was there no communication?
So, being totally honest with you, so while I was over there for about a period of around 3 to 4 months. And I'd say for the first 3 months, we spent with each other more or less quite a lot of the time. I mean, most of the time we were with each other for the first 3 months.
Okay.
And then I suppose, I'm not going to lie, I wasn't in, and I don't think you might have been, but I wasn't in the mindset of this was going to be a relationship, and this was I loved him to bits. I really did. And I had the best time with him for the first 3 months. But I knew I was going back to Ireland. I think we both knew we won't plan on settling down right in that moment in time. So I wanted to kind of see New York. I wasn't I was still young. I still wanted to see everything. I wasn't just ready to settle down while I was on, say, a work and holiday.
Yeah.
So I think towards the end of it, maybe the last 2 or 3 weeks, we had a small bit of a falling out. So, I mean, we didn't end on that first period in the best of terms, to be honest. So then we'll say I jetted off back to Dublin, back to Ireland. And it was Thanksgiving. It was Thanksgiving. So, I mean, we weren't actually talking for a period of a few months. But, I mean, he was constantly always on my mind. I was he was the first guy that I really was attracted to, that I actually was comfortable with, that actually was just, oh, maybe he's actually worth this. There was something always there lingering that I was I cannot, people say you shouldn't give second chances. And I mean, I was the one asking for the second chance here, but I was I would do anything, absolutely anything, just to chat to this guy again. So I basically just sent him a message on Thanksgiving, just checking how he was and just seeing what kind of everything that was up with him. And when he messaged back, I was just I was nearly in tears, just how happy I was to get back in touch. I really thought we weren't going to see each other or even talk to each other again.
Mike, you arrived in Dublin just at the start of a pandemic.
It's funny. Go on, finish your question. Or was that it? Kind of.
No, I was going to say, so you arrived at the beginning, when a pandemic was just kicking off, and you had the first year kind of being locked together, So how is that for a relationship? Would you say that that's a good thing or a bad thing, or what would you say?
I would say we were very fortunate for it to happen, for the pandemic. I hate to say it because I know so many people have been hurt, and sick and everything, but and right now we're in our own apartment. But Aaron had a housemate at the time, and so now we were in a room probably for 4 months that was about 12 by 12. And, in that room, we really, not only rehashed our relationship, but rehashed, our lives. And I think we learned more about each other, than a lot of people probably do in a lifetime. It was just so gratifying. And his roommate or housemate once said to me, he goes, you never come downstairs, to visit or anything. And I said, you don't understand. That room upstairs is my paradise, and that was the only place, I just wanted to be with Aaron. And we spent so much of the time just talking, some of it crying, some of it yelling, but, it was the best thing to ever happen. And it was, I think the past year has been, just one of the most gratifying years of my life. And also, though, I think, one of the nice things I'm going back to when we were speaking about the blog, when we decided to do this project together, it was also a great way for us to kind of learn to do something else together, because things are going to come up. And, working on this blog, we have different opinions sometimes. And, it's a great way for us to learn to work through things with each other. Like, okay, you're going to be in charge of this, I'm going to be in charge of that, or you shouldn't like this. So, it's just amazing.
Good. We've got to try and find some good in this, the past 18 months that has been so terrible. So it's lovely to hear that, you found the time useful and you made the most of it. So that's really great.
Talking about getting here, I was here, the first time we saw each other was in January.
Yeah.
And then I went back to the States. Then like a week later, I was in London when the pandemic was starting. I came back, and then I was in LA. And then, Aaron and I were supposed to I was supposed to come back in like April.
Yeah.
And the pandemic was hitting, and it just, the only place I could be, I just knew, everybody was talking and didn't know what was going to happen. And there was just only one place I wanted to be, and that was with Aaron. And by hook or by crook, I was going to get back here.
Going to get back, yeah. So I suppose this is a good time to ask you, ask you this question, the same question. So can you give me one positive thing, Aaron, can you give me a positive thing about being with an older guy, but also give me something that drives you mad? And Mike, you the same question, but just with a younger guy. So Aaron first.
So I think one thing that I love about older, well, I suppose there's the whole thing that aesthetically I love older men, that thing is probably the main reason. We'll say, I'm not going to lie, looking at someone that I find very attractive is a huge thing for me.
Yeah.
But I think he has a lot of experience, we'll say. I mean, he knows about stuff that sometimes I would just jump into. He's done a lot of the stuff that I've already done, and he knows the good and the bad, like I do myself. But I mean, sometimes it's just someone there that had their head on their shoulders, that have been through something before, that you can kind of just reassure your head a bit. And I mean, it's kind of nice to know that someone's been through, we'll say, a wild side, been through a tame side, been through it all, that it's kind of comforting, I suppose, in a way. And so I mean, those are two kind of things that, I mean, really do attract me to him, and kind of just put the whole lot together. And then I suppose one thing that might drive me insane, I don't know if it's to do with his age, or I think it's just him in general. I love him to bits, but I guess he's very, I'm going to say maybe OCD, but I don't know if that's anything to, he just likes everything to be super clean. But I like everything to be clean as well. But I mean, it's something that we both are just learning about each other. So it's something, we both kind of go ahead with.
And what about you, Mike?
Okay, well, I mean, we're talking about the OCD. And I think, some of it could be the age, but, I basically lived by myself, and I'm used to having things exactly how I like them. One of the great things, and it's not that Aaron's younger, but, I mean, so many times, it's good because I try and learn to let go of it, and I say to myself, it's no big deal. I mean, the age thing, I can't, I mean, sometimes it's hard for me to keep my mouth shut because I think I might know something, but it's better for him to learn it or see it on his own.
Yeah.
But I just don't see age really coming into our relationship. It's just I don't feel like I'm teaching him anything.
Yeah.
And I told you, I think he's smarter than me about so many things and wiser, and in such good sense, it just blows me over sometimes, the things he says. I was scared. I mean, the first time we met, I was scared. I heard 23. I'm like, Jesus Christ. But and wait till he meets my family, because he's older than, you know, all my nieces. You know, he's younger than all my nieces and nephews.
Yeah.
But no, but yeah, age. There's nothing bad. I mean, it's wonderful.
Mike, I lived in New York in 2010, so it's I know what it's like living in a big city like that. And how was it coming to Ireland? It must have been a real change for you, and obviously during lockdown. So how has that been? You know, just living in somewhere so different.
I don't miss the States at all. The only, I mean, you know, I miss my friends and my family, but you know, like when I was a little kid, it cost $5 to call California every minute. Now you just pick, you know, you're so close to everybody.
Yeah.
So we talk to everybody the same. The things that I miss are so petty. Like I miss Juve Costco.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, I miss getting whatever I want whenever I want.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, that's what I'm used to. I'm very spoiled that way. And you know, here I just get over it. But I mean, look, I'm with Aaron. The most important thing to me in the world, and everything else just, you know, goes by the wayside. You know, I complain once in a while when I'm in the grocery store and I can't find something simple, but you know, it just makes no difference. You know, and I just, when we were deciding where to live, I just said, I want to be wherever's best for you. I can work from anywhere, and wherever you think you want to be, that's where I'll be happy.
So Aaron, I read on one of the blogs, you said, it was just something that you said that really got me here, you know, and you said, once you find out who you are, you open the door to happiness. This is something that everyone deserves. And I just thought that was really profound. I was, you know, it really kind of touched my heart. So do you feel that since you've met Mike, that you have found out more who you are?
100%. Like, I honestly, sometimes I can't believe it. Because, I mean, I didn't even know how much, we'll say, of a destructive path I was on. I mean, like, I was having a good life and I was enjoying myself. But, I mean, like, I really internalized a lot with myself. I mean, I didn't, like, showcase to people that I was unhappy. I mean, I always had a smile on my face. Like, I literally, people would be like, life of the party. But, I mean, there were so many incidents that I've had that where I've been by myself. And it's just, like, I would just bawl my eyes out. Like, I mean, it'd be just chaotic. Like, I'd be wondering where it would come from. And I'm just like, right, like, do I really have to go my whole life just plodding along? Like, do I really not get to be who I want to be? Like, and I mean, it was absolutely killing me inside. Like, I couldn't believe. And I mean, there's probably so many people in the same boat, which kind of like kills me a little bit more, to be honest, that like you see people, including myself, that just, you know, are happy to just kind of live this mundane life where like you can't find out who you are. And I mean, once I accepted who I was a long time ago, but I felt like I had to cut that person off. And that person was just not allowed a part in the show. Like, they weren't allowed to take part in this life. They can just be on standby. And I mean, it got to the point where, like, I mean, like, if that's the case, then what really is the point, to be honest? And I mean, once I accepted who I was, but I mean, really accepted who I was, there's so much better feeling. Like, I mean, like, I would never in my life thought I would go out to the shop with my husband, holding hands, like literally dancing in the store, like, and like people would be perceiving like, oh, I mean, literally perceive this like big masculinity, and I'm like, I mean, no, not at all. That's not like me. And like, I am literally skipping around the supermarket, holding his hand, and I mean, it's just not a care in the world. Like, I'm just having like the best time picking out meat and vegetables. Like, I mean, like, and it's just like, it's an experience that everyone deserves to have. Like, I mean, like, people should just be happy about life. I mean, it is short, and I think getting this chance to find out who you are, I think once you find that moment, I mean, grab it, like, because it is the only thing worth living for, in the sense, like, you know, It's crazy. I think sometimes I honestly think it's crazy sometimes.
Yeah. Well, the guy's blog has recipes, it has books, it has stories about their past and what's going on with them now. It's stories about Ireland. You also have a YouTube channel. You're on Instagram and everything. So where can people find you?
Dublin. No, I'm just kidding.
So the main places to find us, I suppose, is through our blog is the most thing where we have most engagement going on. We're trying to grow our YouTube channel, but at the moment we have just been really busy. So I think our main platforms will say are Instagram and Facebook, and you can find us just through the name QueerDaze. We should pop up, and we'd love to like kind of speak more about our journey, and even like find out more about other people's journeys, because they interest us just as much.
I find it so interesting hearing other people's stories and being able to share other people's stories, and it's an education for yourselves and for other people. So it's so the blog is really important, you know, and I think it's a great thing that you're doing. I'm really grateful that you've come on to Hart Talks this week. Next time you're in London, we need to go out and have a drink, definitely.
Oh, 100%. That sounds brilliant.
Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in 2 weeks' time. Bye.
Sounds great. Bye.